Imagine sitting in a quiet room surrounded by ancient texts, their pages filled with faded ink, holding secrets from a time long past. Suddenly, a name catches your eye, a story unfolds, and you realize these writings have shaped the world like nothing else. They are the hidden influences that guided Jesus during his life here on earth. Today, let us embark on a journey through time to uncover the 5 ancient texts that may have influenced Jesus according to historical accounts and scholarly research. So without further ado, let's dive into the first one. Noah, the Hebrew Bible, also known as the Old Testament, it was written over a span of 1,000 years, from around 1400 BCE to 400 BCE. It contains the stories of creation, the fall of man, covenants with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the exodus from Egypt, the conquest of Canaan, and the lives of Israel's leaders, prophets and kings. Jesus knew this book very well and quoted it often. He referred to it as the Scripture and the Law. His teachings were deeply rooted in the Hebrew Bible, but he also challenged some of its interpretations and traditions. He said, "Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them." Matthew 5:17. One example is a passage in Deuteronomy 22:9 that says, "When you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not gather it up close to the wall, and you shall not gather any gleanings after your harvest, and you shall leave them for the poor and for the stranger. I am the Lord your God." In this passage, the law requires the Israelites to leave some crops behind for the poor and the foreigners who live among them. Jesus took this teaching further when he said, "Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled." Matthew 5:6. He taught that the kingdom of heaven is like a net that gathers all kinds of fish, good and bad. He also said, "Judge not, and you will not be judged. Condemn not, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven." These teachings show that Jesus did not reject the law, but he interpreted it more inclusively and compassionately. Number 2, the Dead Sea Scrolls. They were discovered between 1947 and 1956 in caves near the Dead Sea, and they include copies of most books of the Hebrew Bible, as well as some sectarian texts. Jesus may have had access to some of these scrolls, especially those related to his own community, such as the community rule or the War of the Sons of Light and Darkness. These texts reveal a group of Jewish people who lived in the desert and followed a strict ascetic lifestyle. They believed that they were the true heirs of Israel and that they had to prepare themselves for the coming of the Messiah. Some scholars think that this group was the Essenes, and that Jesus spent some time with them in the wilderness. However, there is no historical evidence to support this theory. One of the most interesting finds is the Great Isaiah Scroll, which contains the oldest and most complete copy of the book of Isaiah. This scroll shows that the book of Isaiah was written about 2,000 years ago, much earlier than what scholars previously assumed. This discovery also helps us understand how Jesus could have known the book of Isaiah so well, as he frequently quoted from it in his sermons and parables. For example, when Jesus read from Isaiah in the synagogue at Nazareth, he said, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he hath anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He hath sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to set at liberty them that are captive." Luke 4:18. This passage shows that Jesus saw himself as the fulfillment of Isaiah's prophecy, and that he came to bring good news to those who need it most. No. 3. It is a Greek translation of the Hebrew Bible that was made in the 3rd century BCE. It was widely used by Jewish communities outside of Israel, and it became the version of the Bible that was used by early Christians. Jesus and his disciples spoke Aramaic, but they also used Greek when they traveled and preached in other cities. The Septuagint allowed them to communicate with people who did not speak Hebrew, and it provided them with a common language that could unite Jews and Gentiles alike. One example of Jesus using the Septuagint is in Matthew 19:4. When he was asked by Pharisees, "What is the greatest commandment in the law?" he replied, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind." This passage is based on Deuteronomy 6:5 from the Septuagint. Another example is in Mark 12:26, when Jesus was talking about marriage and divorce, and he quoted from Genesis 2:24. "For this cause a man shall leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh." This passage is also from these examples show that Jesus was familiar with the Septuagint, and that he used it to support his teachings and heal the sick. What are some ways that ancient texts have influenced you? Share your thoughts below. Also, don't forget to like and share this video if you enjoyed it and want others to learn from it too. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.